The first module sets the intellectual and creative foundation for the entire course by introducing you to the concept of film as a visual language, a system of signs, symbols, frames, and movements that communicate ideas, emotions, and narratives without relying solely on spoken words. Just as grammar governs spoken and written language, visual syntax governs cinematic storytelling. Understanding how this language operates is essential for filmmakers, critics, and visual content creators alike. In this module, you will explore the origins, evolution, and core principles of cinematic language. Drawing on theories from semiotics, film aesthetics, and cognitive psychology, we will unpack how film communicates meaning to its audience through images, patterns, and relationships between elements in the frame. We'll also begin to investigate how the arrangement of shots, cinematography, editing, montage, and spatial design, mise-en-scène, all come together to create coherent and powerful messages. Learning objectives. By the end of this module, you will be able to define and explain the concept of film as a language, distinguishing it from traditional verbal communication. Understand the theoretical roots of visual storytelling in semiotics, psychoanalysis, and visual rhetoric. Recognize and deconstruct the denotative and connotative meanings of visual elements in film. Identify how mise-en-scène, cinematography, and editing collaborate to create meaning. Analyze iconic scenes using the grammar of visual storytelling, e.g., framing, pacing, juxtaposition. Lay the groundwork for deeper study of individual components like shots, angles, composition, and camera movement in later modules. 1.1. The nature of film language. Film is more than entertainment, it's a coded system. Like language, film operates through signs and symbols, has rules and structures, and enables communication. This section introduces the core elements of visual language and their functions. Film as a visual and temporal medium. Differences between spoken language and visual language. Reading the moving image. How the brain decodes visual input. Film grammar versus film style. 1.2. The semiotics of cinema. Semiotics, the study of signs, offers one of the richest frameworks for understanding film language. Drawing from theorists like Ferdinand de Saussure, Charles Peirce, and Christian Metz, this section analyzes how meaning is constructed in cinema. Signifier versus signified, iconic, indexical, and symbolic signs, codes, cultural, genre-based, technical, and conventions. Connotation and myth in cinema. Barth. Example: a shot of a burning flag might denote destruction and connote political revolution, trauma, or patriotism, depending on cultural context. Understanding how filmmakers build meaning starts with analyzing the basic units of cinematic expression. The shot. The smallest visual unit, a shot can contain an entire emotional or narrative beat. The cut. Transitions between shots can compress time, contrast ideas, or shift space. Sequence and scene. Sequences are larger units of story structure and visual rhythm. Mise-en-scène. Everything within the frame. Actors, lighting, set design, props, costume. Cinematography. Camera movement, lens choices, exposure, and composition. This section breaks down how a single frame communicates layers of information, the importance of visual emphasis, directionality, and depth, the viewer's psychological response to visual stimuli. 1.4. Psychological and cultural perception. This part examines how audience members interpret visual cues based on psychology, culture, and experience. Gestalt principles. How the human brain organizes visual information. Proximity, similarity, closure. Color psychology. Emotional and cultural significance of color schemes. Visual metaphors and archetypes. Repetition of visual themes, e.g., doors as transitions. Cross-cultural interpretations of images and body language. 1.5. Historical milestones in visual storytelling. A brief but essential dive into how the grammar of film developed over time. Early silent cinema and the invention of montage. Eisenstein Griffith. Classical Hollywood continuity editing. The French New Wave's rule-breaking approach. Modern experimental cinema. Long takes, broken fourth walls, non-linear visuals. This historical lens reveals how visual language evolves and challenges you to think critically about how different movements influence meaning-making. Key terms introduced: signifier and signified mise-en-scène, cinematic syntax, shot/scene/sequence, continuity editing, visual metaphor, framing, montage connotation versus denotation, rule of thirds, previewed, case studies and scene analysis, Citizen Kane, 1941. Symbolism in mise-en-scène and framing the Matrix, 1999. Color coding and visual duality. In the Mood for Love, 2000. Framing intimacy through doorways, Get Out, 2017. Racial coding through lens selection and angle assignments. Reading. Excerpts from Film Language by Christian Metz and Ways of Seeing by John Berger. Scene breakdown. Choose a 1-minute clip and analyze its signs and symbolic meanings. Discussion prompt. In what ways is the visual language of film more universal than spoken language? Practical exercise storyboard. Challenge. Without using dialogue, design a 6-frame storyboard that communicates jealousy or forgiveness using only visuals, framing, shot choice, facial expressions, composition.